What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Breakdown. So, the other day I had received a comment on one of my videos, and I can't remember who sent the comment. And he wasn't necessarily sending me anything that I didn't already know, but this is something that needs to be addressed. And but he had sent me a link in the comments on one of my videos. I think it was the boycott Pacquiao thing, and the link had explained why Pacquiao was fighting Chris Algieri and why Pacquiao wasn't going to take a fight with some of the other guys. And I mean, everything in that article, it made sense, but I mean, Pacquiao also had an option to not re-sign with Top Rank to actually go take some tougher fights too. So that's why I think that we should boycott the Pacquiao fight. But more importantly, on this video, I want to get into what the article was mainly about. It was talking about the boxing Cold War. That's what the video was about, and um, the the obviously the link, and I am having trouble finding it on my iPad, but the link on the link on the on what he had sent me was, like I said, talked about the boxing Cold War. Talked about how top rank fighters under Bob Arum fought on HBO, and it talked about how Golden Boy slash Mayweather slash Al Heyman managed fighters fight on Showtime, and really that any of the fighters that can draw some serious revenue, they're not going to fight each other. The only time you're going to see a Golden Boy or maybe an Al Heyman guy on a top rank card is if the guy really doesn't draw that much money, which is true because which is very very true because we obviously if somebody doesn't draw that much money, vice versa, then they're obviously going to let that person fight somebody that's from Golden Boy or vice versa from Top Rank. So and here it is. I actually found it. Um, some of the fighters that you guys know of that fight under the Golden Boy, Showtime, Al Heyman, Mayweather banner. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, Adrian Broner, Danny Garcia, Bernard Hopkins, Adonis Stevenson, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Iris Landy Lara, Maidana, Amir Khan. I'm not going to read the whole list, but um, I'll actually post that link. Underneath this video, so you can guys go read it there. But obviously the Showtime. I mean, they've got quite a few guys that fight underneath the Showtime banner, and underneath the HBO banners, obviously Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Juan Manuel Marquez, Brandon Rios, Nonito Donaire, Mike Alvarado, Rigondeaux, and guys like that. Now the HBO, as far as some of the guys that make money, they really don't have as many of the guys as they really don't have as many of the they really don't have as many of the bigger names as Showtime does. So obviously Showtime's obviously killing HBO right now when it comes to boxing. But as fans, we want to see some of these guys because HBO's got some pretty solid guys, and obviously Showtime has a stable of quality guys. As fans, what can we do as fans to send a message that we want to see the fights? Because Mayweather is getting ready to retire. Pacquiao's not going to be around very much longer, and then outside of that, you have a whole host of guys behind them. And as a fan of boxing, although we don't think that this era is as good as the 70s and the 80s and the 90s of boxing, this era of boxing could still be pretty good if we get the matchups that we want to see. And as fans, Um, as fans, the Mayweathers, um, the Pacquiaos. I mean, those guys are talented. Those guys are talented fighters, and I believe that those guys deserve whatever money they get. But all the money that they get would not be granted to them if it was not for the fans paying for the pay-per-views, paying for the tickets to actually go and watch these fights. So as the fans, only thing we want in return is just to be able to see the fights that we want to see, so we can actually say who is the best of this era and who's the best of that era. And I really don't think that that's asking too much. I mean, because if you give us we're already paying for it, but if you give us the fights that we're gonna see or that we want to see, then we're definitely gonna pay for it. So, what can we do as fans? And I want to hear from the 78s and the 78 sports TVs and the blood boxings and maybe Bruce Blitz if he if he's still around. What can we do as fans to get the message out there that this Cold War has to end? I mean, obviously we don't have as much money as Mayweather or Bob Arum or Oscar De La Hoya. So I mean, it all comes back to money. But there's got to be something that we can do as fans to send a message that we're not going to pay for these Chris Algieri Pacquiao fights anymore. We're not going to pay for these. We're not going to pay for these Danny Garcias versus nobody fights. We're just not going to pay for these type of fights. We'll watch them, but we'll find a way to watch them for free if they're on pay-per-view. We're not going to pay for the Canelo Alvarez versus Angulo. I mean, that fight should not have been on a pay-per-view at all. So what can we do as fans? And like I said, I've already made my suggestion. I think we should start with the Pacquiao fight, and we should we should boycott it. And now, if Pacquiao or somebody wants to get into rematching somebody a lot of times because they don't have another option, we should boycott it. That's my suggestion. Obviously, somebody paying for a ticket to go see it in person, I can't fault them for that. I mean, because that's entertainment. Somebody who definitely wants to get out of the house and obviously go enjoy a boxing match in person. But I'm more focused on these pay-per-views, and we don't have a lot of pay-per-views. But I mean, obviously, we obviously have the networks HBO and Showtime involved. It's got to be something that us as fans we can do, to obviously speak out and obviously get the fights that we want, because this is getting ridiculous. I mean, this is getting very, very, very ridiculous that we're not going to get the fights that we want. I mean, this would be a travesty if Mayweather never fights Pacquiao, or if Pacquiao never fights Canelo, or somebody like Broner never fights Timothy Bradley, or but you do have guys like Miguel Cotto, which is also highlighted in that article. Miguel Cotto can kind of bounce around. Miguel Cotto can kind of bounce around from network to network. He can fight on Showtime. He can fight on HBO. He's not underneath anyone's banner. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody like a 50 Cent, because I believe 50 Cent would work with both Top Rank and Golden Boy. Maybe a lot of the fighters need to go sign underneath 50 Cent's banner, SMS Promotions, and then we actually will get the fights that we want to see. Because right now, with Golden Boy and Top Rank being the only two, with Golden Boy and Top Rank, and then obviously Al Heyman managed fighters, with those being the only three, or mainly two promotional, the two heavyweights when it comes to promoting and putting on fights. But then Al Heyman, he's a very well recognized manager. With those being like the main three names, we're obviously not going to get the fights that we want to see. So, I mean, is it going to take somebody like a 50 Cent with SMS Promotions kind of coming in the middle, and maybe 50 Cent getting some more fighters signed to his a boxing promotional company to obviously get the fights that we want to see, because I believe 50 Cent would make the fights that we want to see. I mean, I know that's only going to benefit 50. It's only going to benefit 50 Cent. So I don't know. I mean, I want to hear from you guys. What can we do to, as fans, to have a part in this, maybe this Cold War ending? I know Oscar said that it might be over, but I'm only going to believe it when I see it. So that's all I have to say. Leave a comment and let me know. I'm out.